Thinking of a classic diner, those wonderful little squeeze bottles come to mind with their bright yellow and red colors. Today, we're focusing on the yellow one, mustard. Hello my friends and fellow Apollonians, welcome back to Apollo's Diner. I'm your host Apollo Jupiter, and today we're diving into the world of mustard, one of the staple condiments in diners for decades, bringing a fresh, tangy and sometimes spicy contrast to so many meals. Making your own mustard isn't just fun, it's also far superior to anything you find in stores. And the best part? It's pretty easy to make and you can customize it to your personal taste. Get ready to spice up your kitchen with this yellow delight. Welcome to Apollo's Diner. Let's get started. What you'll need. For about 250 milliliters or roughly 1 cup of my personal ideal mustard recipe, which strikes a good balance between mild tanginess and slight sweetness, we'll need the following: 30 grams or 1 ounce of yellow mustard seeds, 20 grams or 0.7 ounces of dark mustard seeds, 25 milliliters or 0.85 liquid ounces of water, 65 milliliters or 2.2 liquid ounces of distilled white vinegar, 20 grams or 0.7 ounces of brown sugar, although regular sugar works too, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of turmeric for color. In terms of tools, we'll need a fine grinder, like a coffee grinder, but you could also use a small blender, for example. If you prefer a coarse mustard, you could also use a mortar. And we'll also need a blender. Before we dive into the recipe, let me give you a little additional info on some of the ingredients so you're fully prepared to adjust the taste to your liking. Yellow mustard seeds are actually the most common type. They're widely used in American-style yellow mustard as well as in pickling, dressings and sauces. They have a gentle, slightly tangy flavor. Because of their mild taste, they're great for building subtle, balanced flavors. So if you want a milder mustard, just use more of these little guys. Dark mustard seeds, which come in brown or black varieties, they pack more of a punch. They are like the rebels of the group and come with attitude. They're often used in European-style mustards like Dijon, for example. These seeds bring a spicier, sharper and more pungent flavor, so if you want to add heat and complexity to your mustard, add more of these. By combining the two, you can create the perfect balance to match your personal taste. Now, a quick word about the vinegar. Personally, I think distilled white vinegar or spirit vinegar is the way to go. It gives your mustard a neutral acidity that supports the flavor without overpowering it. It's also the classic choice for most mustard recipes. Recently I've noticed a lot of recipes using white balsamic vinegar. While it can work, it comes with a fruity sweetness that might overpower your mustard and makes it harder to balance. So unless that's the flavor you're specifically aiming for, stick with distilled white vinegar. One last caution. If you're using distilled white vinegar essence, make sure to dilute it with water first to match the amount we need for this recipe. Now let's get started with the recipe. First, let's grind our mustard seeds. As I mentioned earlier, if you prefer coarse texture, you can use a mortar or a small blender, or in my case, a fine grinder. When grinding the mustard seeds, go gently. This isn't a workout. Treat them like they're your cranky cat. Firm but careful. You don't want to heat them up too much or they'll throw a bitter tantrum. Heat can cause them to develop a bitterness, so it's better to grind slowly and in small portions, especially if you're using a blender or mortar. Once the seeds are ground, mix the water and the vinegar in a pan and gently heat it until it just starts to steam. No need to boil it. Then pull it from the heat and let it cool until it's lukewarm. This step is crucial because too much heat can make the seeds bitter afterward. Now combine the ground seeds, salt, sugar and turmeric in a bowl. Like the seeds, you can tweak the sugar and salt amounts to suit your taste. For me, these amounts hit the spot just right. Once it has cooled down, add the vinegar mixture to the seed mix. Add a little at a time and stir well after each addition to avoid clumps. Once it is all mixed, let the mixture steep for about 10 minutes. Finally, blend the mixture until you reach your desired consistency. Again, be careful not to blend for too long as heat can develop during blending, so take breaks if needed. And that's it, your mustard is ready. If you taste it now, it might be quite spicy, but that's normal and will mellow out after a few days. Mustard reaches its full flavor potential after about 3 days in the fridge. Stored in a clean container, it will keep for about 3 months in the fridge. Feel free to experiment with this recipe. If you want a sweet and fruity mustard to pair with cheese, try adding some dried fruit. Or try swapping the sugar for honey. Or blend in some fresh herbs. The basic steps stay always the same, but your creativity can take this recipe in so many directions. Try it out! My favorite way to enjoy this mustard? With a nice hot sausage, the mustard soulmate. Perfect. And there you have it, my friends, delicious mustard, all natural and tailored to your personal taste. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a like, subscribe and hit that bell to get notified whenever a new episode drops. How do you like your mustard? Let me know in the comments, I'd love to hear from you. And before you go, check out this cool video for more inspiration. Thank you for joining me today, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next episode.